A Hull-based charity which helps armed forces veterans is holding its first meetings in Scunthorpe this week. Hull4Heroes will use the new Armed Forces hub in the town to host talking groups in memory of two people who took their own lives after serving in the army. We'll be hearing more about that in a moment. But first, Joe Makel has visited the Scunthorpe hub to see that the work that they do.
Cup of coffee, people just want to come in and talk to somebody. I've got PTSD, but I get as much out of the hub as I put in, and it keeps me right.
I never knew there was much out there. You talk to some people and some people are like, oh, you was in the army, and then they don't understand the whole aspect of being in the army.
Speaking the same language, and that's it.
It's a place for veterans to meet and chat, to start up social clubs and support each other. But serving in the armed forces can bring different challenges, and to everyone in a service family. The hub is here with advice and help.
We have some projects that run in here. For example, we'll have an employability project that runs in here on Wednesday and be quite busy. So this is our private and confidential space.
They can talk to like-minded people, get the help that they need, whether it be education, health, housing.
We've recently supported a homeless veteran. He was finding it very, very difficult to navigate his way around the housing system.
We just want to say thank you, I think, really, to our armed forces, because they give it all.
The building on Scunthorpe's High Street has been opened by North Lincolnshire Council. It's only been here a few weeks, but Forces charities are already using it.
These hubs are cropping up all over the country, and you know, as a charity that works with veterans, these hubs allow us that safe space.
From bereavement to service leavers, the families in between, veterans who have served and those that are still serving. This hub, you know, offers that wraparound care package for the entire armed forces community.
And it's hoped as new groups come in, that care will continue to grow. Joe Makel, BBC Look North, Scunthorpe.
Yes, let's hope so, and good luck to everyone involved at the Scunthorpe hub. Well, earlier I spoke to Paul Matson and Adrian Ellis from Barton upon Humber. Adrian's son George took his own life after serving in the army, and Paul is from Hull4Heroes charity, which is using the Scunthorpe hub. Paul, why do you think so many veterans suffer when they're back in normal life again?
Well, it's a strange transition coming into civilian life. It's just a bit of a struggle. You've spent so much time in the armed forces and run a certain type of life, and now back into civilian life. Obviously, it's completely different to where you were before, so it's a struggle.
What do these veterans need more than anything else?
Really is a proper transition into civilian life, but our talking groups really is one of the things that really help people. So in a way that veterans will talk to veterans a lot better than they will do to civilians. We've got this unknown fact that we just trust each other. So an instant trust and an instant talk.
Well, this is great news about Scunthorpe, and here's a word from one of your greatest supporters, Nick Knowles.
Hull4Heroes was born out of people who understood it, people who had been through tough times, people who had considered suicide, people who had considered ending it all, people who had lived rough. The people who run this organisation understand how it can feel for veterans in a way that I never will. They are people who are trying to find every which way to make sure that veterans have the support they need, as they should have. Having served their country, having put themselves in the line of danger on our behalf, they should be able to get the support that they need, and housing and an opportunity of a job and retraining and do what they want to do, which is to find a new beginning and actually find a way to exist in the new world they find themselves without that armed forces career. I think it's up to all of us to try and support Hull4Heroes as they do that, and all the other charities that are trying to do it too.
I mean, he has been such a great supporter, hasn't he? And he's so genuine as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Nick doesn't just do it for a tick box. We're on the phone every week, basically.
He means it.
He means it, yeah.
Adrian, hard one to talk about. You lost your son, George. Did you have any idea that he was struggling?
No idea whatsoever, Peter. We'd gone to Fylde for the weekend, And on the Friday night at 8:31 on the 30th of April, I got a text from George saying, "Where's the tablets, Dad? I'm going to kill myself. I'm sorry and I love you." And an hour later...
You were stuck in Filey?
We were stuck in Filey.
What did you do, race back?
We alerted his friends, who obviously went round to the house, and unfortunately George was found hanging.
I am very, very sorry. And he was described as the happiest guy you could meet. So there were no giveaway signs that something was wrong?
No, there was no signs. Unfortunately, George lost a close veteran who served with him in 1 Yorks 6 weeks previous, who took his own life out in Australia, Damon Hakin, and George was extremely upset by that. Whether that affected George's mental state, I don't know.
Looking back at what's happened to you, this dreadful, dreadful story, what would you say to former military members and indeed their relatives? What would you say to them?
I would urge everybody, all the veterans and their families, to talk about their emotions, talk about anything that's stressing them out. And by talking, you share the problems. Because I can't bring George back, you know, I wish I could, but what we can do through Geo and Lisa's ladies is get the veterans talking within, like Paul said, within that environment. It's safe, there's lots of banter, they understand each other, and they share their emotions.
And just briefly, how have you coped?
Since I lost George, very shortly after we lost George, Paul became very good friends with Carol and I, and it's a struggle at times, but with the work that we're doing with Hull4Heroes, Geo, and promoting mental health, that's what keeps me and spurs me on.
Adrian, very good to meet you. Paul, thank you very much indeed for coming in. Keep up the good work, won't you? You're doing a fantastic job. Gentlemen, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, God knows how Adrian has coped, and it's just coming up to 2 years later this year, and it's not as rare as you might think. Hull4Heroes, they're not just well known locally, they're known nationally now, and they do such fantastic work. So we salute Paul Matson, and we wish Adrian all the very best. Now.